actually been quite the news day for NASCAR. Nothing earth-shattering, like no massive breaking news that's going to completely change a team, but just a few stories here and there. Sponsorship, Jimmie Johnson schedule update. The Clash has a format now. I think it had one before, but it's technically different this time. But yes, we're going to talk about that all. As I said, a variety of stories. Some of them, they're significant in terms of the season. We're going to talk about Rick Ware Racing a bit. And then also just some schedule things. I mean, that's why I didn't do it like on the spot as it happened, because there were so many things at once. I was like, let's see if more happens throughout the day. Anyways, let's get to it. Stop talking about why this video is in the afternoon. First thing, we're going to talk about Josh Berry. Josh Berry, of course, announced last May or June, somewhere in that time period, that he would be leaving the Xfinity Series to join Stewart-Haas Racing in the Cup Series and replace championship driver Kevin Harvick in the number 4 car. Berry, a lot of questions about him were going to be sponsorship and stuff. Obviously he's a talented driver and stuff, but people were questioning how much sponsorship is he going to bring. Well, it's not a lot, but it is a couple of races. He is bringing over one of his sponsorships from the Xfinity Series, Harrison's. It's a family-owned clothing and footwear chain. It's based in South Carolina. They even got South Carolina mentioned in the logo. It looks like you got the little, kind of tree with the moon. That's the South Carolina state flag. But yeah, so he's got a sponsor for a couple of races. Here is the paint scheme. Got some green, white, a little bit of, I guess that's technically gold. We're going to do some paint scheme ratings here in the next week or so. We're getting closer to the end of January, which is when I do my first paint scheme rating. We're not going to talk about only Josh Berry. We'll look at paint schemes from, Chase Elliott, from Ryan Blaney, Justin Haley, whoever it may be, whoever's got paint schemes. We're not going to do every one, but we'll do about 10, 15, somewhere in that range. So be on the lookout for that. But here's the first one we're looking at, I guess. But yeah, there's Josh Berry's new sponsor in the Cup Series, or at least it's new with Stewart-Haas. They are familiar with Berry. As for other sponsors for him, we know Sunny D will be on his car in the Daytona 500, and that they'll also be doing a couple other races. But as for the rest of his schedule, it's unknown as of now. I guess we'll figure it out in the future. Obviously, we have to, but as for now, Harrison's has added their name to the Stewart-Haas Racing list, specifically with Josh Berry. Now, I said Rick Ware Racing at the beginning of this video. Rick Ware Racing, they have been, the back markers of NASCAR, kind of the meme of NASCAR, but they are taking serious steps to become more legit, more competitive, more serious, and more respected. They took a big step this past summer by signing Justin Haley, a young prospect who has been at Colleague Racing most of his career, maybe all of his career up to this point. And, well, they got him from Colleague, and I personally didn't see that coming. I think a good chunk of people didn't see that coming. But a lot of people also ask questions. Why is Justin Haley, taking a step down, essentially? Colleague's not a championship threat in the Cup Series right now, no, but they've won a couple of races in the Cup Series. They're a solid midfield team, but why is he going to a back marker? Why is he going to Rick Ware? Well, Rick Ware Racing has taken steps, as I said, to be a more serious team. They've, made alliances with teams. I think Stewart-Haas Racing, maybe RFK. I'm not sure who they're with right now, but they've made alliances. They've committed to one manufacturer, Ford, and now they have a full-time driver, a young full-time driver. And once again, as I said, they're trying to make that step forward. Well, they announced this morning that Chris Lawson, who was at Front Row Motorsports originally, will crew chief for Justin Haley, and Justin Haley has himself a car number. It's going to be number 51. So the question was he going to be 51 or 15? Flip a coin, it was 51. As for the 15, the drivers are still to be determined. No one is sure what's going to happen with that car, if it's going to be a variety of drivers or what. But for sure, we do know that Justin Haley will be in the number 51 Rick Ware Racing Ford in 2024. And his crew chief will be Chris Lawson. So curious to see how that goes. Rick Ware Racing, to see if they make a significant step in improvement, especially with Justin Haley behind the wheel. Cup Series winner, Justin Haley, by the way, technically. And yeah, that's all I got on the Rick Ware Racing news. Now, next up is Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson, the 7-time Cup Series champion, formerly at Hendrick Motorsports as a driver, now a co-owner at Legacy Motor Club and also a driver at Legacy Motor Club. He has announced his schedule in pieces. At first, he announced he was going to do Texas, the Coke 600 in Kansas in the spring. Then there was another chunk announced where it was announced he was going to do Dover, Kansas in the fall, Vegas in the fall, and I think one more that I'm forgetting, maybe the other Kansas race, I can't remember. But he has announced for the third time a third chunk of races that he will run. I don't know for sure if this is the last chunk. Like, these are 9 races that he's going to run. I don't know if this is it for him in the Cup Series in 2024 or if he's going to announce more. But regardless, let's talk about it. It has to do with his sponsor, Carvana. Carvana has been with him since his IndyCar days back in 2021 and 2022. But he has since moved, or Carvana has since moved with him to the Cup Series when he is in the number 84 car. We saw them with him in a couple of races last year. They will once again carry over to his car in 2024 at the Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, and the season finale at Phoenix, which very interesting. The choices for Jimmie Johnson's races this year have been random, is going to be the word. There's 3 races I would say are understandable. That is the Coke 600, the Daytona 500, and the Brickyard 400. Those are 3 crown jewel events. The Daytona 500, NASCAR Super Bowl, Coke 600, NASCAR's longest race, and one of the most historic races. The Brickyard 400, a race that's coming back for the first time in a few years, and also at a very historic venue. But the other ones, they're so random. Dover, yes, he did have a lot of success there. And then you've got Vegas, 1.5 miles, Texas, 1.5 miles that he had a lot of success on, Kansas, 1.5 miles. So, at least those kind of fit, that they're all 1.5 miles. But then there's Phoenix, and it's not even the spring Phoenix. It's the championship race Phoenix. Interesting. I'm not saying this is a bad thing at all. He's allowed to pick what races he wants to run, but I'm just very curious to why he's opting to run in the championship race. Once again, it's not like a negative judgment or anything. It's just I'm genuinely curious why the fall Phoenix race. So those are the races Jimmie Johnson will be running. Carvana is going to be on the car for those races. He's also going to have Dollar Tree, Family Dollar on his car as well for some of those other races and whatever other sponsors are with him. But yeah, he's been running a part-time schedule the past couple of years, and he's going to continue to do so in 2024 with NASCAR and other forms of racing. Curious to see what else he runs, if this is it for his 2024 schedule, or if he runs, the Southern 500, if he runs, COTA, if he tries to run Chicago, whatever it may be. So that's it for Jimmie Johnson. As I said, he added a couple more races to his list, or a few, I should say, with the Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, and the championship race at Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see how he does, how competitive he is. The first year in a Toyota for Jimmie Johnson. Let me know how you think he's going to do, firstly, in the Daytona 500. Next up is the Clash. The Clash has a format now. I didn't know it had a format in the first place. I thought it was pretty straightforward. They qualify, they do heat races, they do a last chance qualifier, and then they race. Apparently, that's a format. I guess it makes sense that that's a format, but regardless, let's just get to this actual format. Practice and qualifying. Heat race starting position equals fastest practice time in final session. That's pretty straightforward. They're going to have 3 practice groups with each group receiving 3 sessions, and if you're fastest in that final session, you get the pole in your heat, or if you're the top 4, So if you're the fastest in your first practice, or the final practice, I should say, you're on pole in heat 1. If you're third fastest in that final practice session, you're on the pole in heat 3, and so on and so forth. Now, then we go to the heat races, and the heat races are going to be set up by these practice times, as I just said. There's going to be 4 heat races, as there have always been. They're going to be 25 laps each. They're going to have 10 cars in each of them. And the top, however many drivers make it into that main event, 23 cars will be in the main event. Then we've got the last chance qualifiers, and that is going to consist of that's going to be only one race with the rest of the drivers trying to get into that final race. And ultimately, it's going to be 75 laps, as it has always been, with the top, I think, 2 or 3, I think, make it to the main event. I just reread it. In the heat races, the top 5 from each heat make the main event. So that's 20. So then the top 3 from the last chance qualifier advance. Look at that. I can do math. It's a miracle. But that's how it's going to be set. So in conclusion, if you want it smushed down into like a 15-second recap, they're going to do 3 practice sessions with 3 groups, and then in that last practice session, whoever's the fastest, or you set your qualifying time. That is your qualifying time for the heat races. That's how they're going to set up the heat race lineup. Top 5 from each heat advance to the main event, and then there's going to be last chance qualifier for those who did not advance in the main heats. And that last chance qualifier, if you're in the top 3, you're in the main event. So then the main event's straightforward. You got stages, you got cautions, you got a race. Whoever gets the checker flag first wins the race. Pretty simple. But that's all for today. So in conclusion, we got some sponsorship with Carvana, staying with Jimmie Johnson, adding to his schedule the Daytona 500, the Brickyard 400, and the season finale at Phoenix. We've got Harrison's sponsoring Josh Berry on the number 4 car. We've got the Clash with technically a different format, but a lot of it is still the same. And then Justin Haley and Rick Ware Racing officially announced his number 51. He's going to have Chris Lawson as his crew chief. Any other NASCAR news, I will let you know. As I said, nothing majorly earth-shattering here, but, enough to inform you about. So thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good rest of your day. I'll let you guys know on any other news, as I always try to do. See you guys in the next video.